Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast. In this episode, I will be recapping The Flash Season 1, Episode 21, titled Grodd Lives, which was originally released on the 5th of May 2015, and I'm recording this episode just over 10 years later on the 2nd of October 2025. As I've mentioned in previous recaps, I will no longer be showing trailers in the recaps just for episode length and to stop Matt from having a mental breakdown. But without further ado, here is my recap of The Flash Season 1, Episode 21, titled Grodd Lives. We start off with the Flash title sequence. We then have a previous recap which includes Eddie getting kidnapped by Thorn. Barry promises to find Eddie for Iris, and Iris realises that Barry is the Flash. Now into the main bulk of the episode. Iris mentions best friends. Barry and Joe lie for Eddie to Captain Singh. Captain Singh asks Barry to hurry up. Captain Singh mentions the Flash. Iris informs Barry that the Reverse Flash kidnapped Eddie. Iris mentions the Flash. Barry continues to lie to Iris. Barry asks Iris to trust him. Barry attempts to reassure Iris. Someone shoots at a car. Barry mentions the cameras Dr. Wells used. Cisco informs Barry of an incident. Barry arrives at the incident's location. Barry is unable to stop the person as he suffers from some sort of headache. Cisco mentions metahumans. Barry mentions Rainbow Raider and Fear. Iris arrives at Star Labs and sees Barry in his Flash costume. Cisco and Caitlin choose to listen in on Barry and Iris' conversation. Iris reveals how she found out that Barry was the Flash. Iris believes that she isn't angry but is disappointed. Barry informs Iris that Eddie knows he is the Flash. Barry informs Eddie that Dr. Wells is Barry informs Iris that Dr. Wells is the Reverse Flash. Barry informs Iris that Dr. Wells kills his mum, as well as Joe convincing him to not tell her he is the Flash. Iris believes she doesn't need protecting. Cisco regrets him and Caitlin listening on Barry and Iris' conversation. Thorn reveals that humans can go 2 months without food. Eddie mentions Thorn being from the future and the Flash. Thorn threatens Eddie. Joe apologises to Iris. Iris mentions the police academy dating Eddie and Barry being the Flash. Joe informs Iris that Dr. Wells killed Mason. Iris mentions Barry's romantic feelings. Iris blames Joe for Eddie being kidnapped. Joe answers a work call. Barry informs Caitlin and Cisco of what Joe told him. The police are hiding in an ice cream van. Cisco updates Barry. Barry stops the criminal. Barry and Joe discover the criminal as General Eiling. General Eiling is now in the pipeline. Cisco mentions Argus and Lila. Barry mentions Ronnie and Dr. Stein. Joe attempts to question General Eiling. Grodd introduces himself to Barry, Caitlin, Cisco and Joe. Barry learns that Grodd is a gorilla. Cisco and Caitlin catch up Barry and Joe. Caitlin mentions the particle accelerator explosion. Caitlin believes Grodd and Eiling are connected. Barry mentions revenge. Joe mentions Grodd and Dr. Wells. Iris mentions Eddie. Iris updates Barry, Cisco, Joe and Caitlin. Cisco mentions rats. Joe agrees to help Barry. Joe convinces Cisco to help him and Barry. Joe gives Cisco an instruction. Joe asks Barry and Cisco to stay close to him. Iris thanks Caitlin. Iris knows that Caitlin lied to her about Ronnie. Joe mentions his feelings about gorillas. Barry believes Grodd is getting smarter. Cisco mentions Jurassic Park. Barry collapses. Cisco and Iris call out for Joe. Joe screams for help. Grodd attempts to get Joe to shoot himself. Joe throws his gun away. Joe reveals he doesn't know where Wells is. Grodd admits to not liking bananas. Caitlin believes Grodd can cause psychic attacks. Iris mentions Eddie and Joe's disappearances. Barry asks Caitlin and Cisco to build some tech to avoid Grodd getting into his head. Cisco mentions Dr. Wells. Barry defends Joe to Iris. Iris raises her voice at Barry. Barry believes Iris has lied to him too. Eddie believes Thorn isn't as smart as he thinks. Thorn considers himself a genius and Eddie a failure. Thorn reminds Eddie that he is from the future. Thorn shows Eddie that Barry and Iris get married in the future. Cisco shows Barry how a new device works. Iris asks Barry to get Joe back. Caitlin and Cisco inform Iris of the plan. Grodd stops Barry from attacking him. Grodd throws Barry. Grodd believes humans are weak. Iris attempts to motivate Barry. Barry gets out the way of a moving train. Barry and Joe reunite. Barry sets General Eiling free. General Eiling knows that Barry is the Flash. General Eiling mentions Dr. Wells and Grodd. Joe asks Cisco and Caitlin to give him some alone time with Iris. Iris asks Joe to tell her the truth. Joe agrees to this. Barry, Caitlin and Cisco discuss Dr. Wells and Grodd. Barry attempts to reassure Cisco. Caitlin corrects Barry. Barry and Iris reunite. Iris believes she doesn't know Barry anymore. Barry considers Iris the reason he was able to defeat Grodd. Barry believes the Flash wouldn't exist without Iris, and Barry promises to rescue Eddie. Grodd climbs and jumps off a building, and Thorn is in the pipeline. And that is my recap of The Flash Season 1, Episode 21, titled Grodd Lives. Let me know what you thought of the episode. If you watched it, my recap. If you didn't, you can keep your thoughts on both of those in the comments below, as well with anything else you want to cover the channel, such as any previews or recaps. Put those in the comments below as well. Remember, you also like, comment, subscribe, and the podcast is now available through audio-only platforms such as Spotify and Amazon Music. I should mention that the audio-only episodes are not taking over the YouTube episodes. The podcast isn't becoming audio only or anything. It's just an alternative for if you prefer to listen to the podcast. It is available, but without further ado, I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.